been a while since we've started a video like this, but what's going on? Good to see you. We're back again with another episode of my Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode series right here on NHL 20. Milbury mode, although perhaps disappointingly to some, Mike Milbury has not been a factor for this team for over a year. And if it's up to me, we're going to keep that trend alive. The goal for this season is simple. Repeat as Stanley Cup champions and keep Mike Milbury's filthy mitts away from the team. Yeah, I was going to work in a keep your hands in the shoes reference, but that might have gone over some people's heads. Point being, this is the squad, and obviously we're feeling fantastic about what we see right here, no doubt about it. Now, there was conversation in the there was conversation in the comments. I was going to say discussion in the comments, but regardless, Alex Nylander, what his role is with the team. Is he being wasted on the third line? What's the deal? What are we going to do? Should we trade him? And mainly, should we trade him to make room for Artur Kayumov to get the call-up? Now, you're not entirely wrong, for those of you who side with like, hey, you're wasting Kayumov on, in the AHL, you're not wrong. Offensively, he is absolutely good enough to hang at the NHL level. But the argument is like, okay, Nylander, obviously good enough to hang at the NHL level as well. So it's like, okay, do we get rid of one of them? What do we look to do with the team, essentially? The reason why I'm holding on to Kayumov is I'm really thinking, we don't know if Kane and Taves are going to retire. If they do, obviously Metropolitan takes Kane's spot. Who takes that third line spot? Potentially Kayumov. And then, we'll have to look at replacing somebody else. There's no doubt that right now we could go out, get somebody else or move out some players, make the most of their trade value. But I'm really not all that concerned because obviously right now I want to keep Alex Nylander on this team because that gives us arguably the best chance to win the cup this year. And, the better the team, obviously, the better the chance in theory. But yeah, Alex Nylander has a lot of trade value. No real surprise there, I would say. Whereas Kayumov, not so much. So you can make the argument, is it worth it? The one downside to Kayumov is that he's not that good defensively, whereas Nylander can play in that third line role alongside Taves and then be a power play specialist. We're not going to get the most out of Kayumov unless he's in the top six, which, let's be honest, that is never going to happen. It's just not going to. Doc, Eakin, DeBrincat, Point, Metropolitan, Strome. I mean, that is the top six. Unless Milbury gets a hold of this team and ruins it for us, that is the top six. Hopefully, for the foreseeable future, we are going to have to try and re-sign Strome and DeBrincat. So what I'm thinking, the compromise here, is that we see how the team does heading into February, and we can make decisions from there, especially too because we're going to have to base it off of, okay, is anybody going to re-sign? We do have $38 million to spend, which is fantastic. But DeBrincat, Kane, Strome, Nylander, Dylan is going to need a big-time deal. Of course, he is our top defenseman. John Quenneville, funny enough, doesn't want to come back. But yeah, we have some decisions to make, and how people play through the first part of this season is going to go a long way in determining the moves that I make and how I try to set this team up. Because, of course, that's the one thing we were really able to do is handcuff Mike the last time he had control of the team. I was able to pretty much lock this team down in place due to the cap and prevented him from making a lot of dumb moves. He wasn't able to get another Marc-Edouard Vlasic this time. I pretty much made sure of that. So it has been that little bit of a back and forth game. Again, the odds of us winning the Stanley Cup again here, very slim, but we certainly have to try for it. We'll get a look, or not. Okay, we will get a look at our overalls against San Jose here. Our season opener. Damn shame they don't have the banner raising deal anymore. San Jose is not a bad team themselves. 100 offense, though, in our favor. 88 defense, 81 in goal. Of course, right now, pressure on Blackwood and on Korpisalo to have a repeat performance. And, yeah, if they can't get it done, Could absolutely look at using, say, Alex Nylander, along with, we have a medium league goalie now as well, who we could use, and he's never going to develop, but we have pieces that we could use to go out and address needs. So absolutely, there's a decent shot that Nylander's going to be traded this year as DeBrincat goes down to a concussion for a month, which is brutal. And actually, I mean, I love AJ Greer, but we're going to have to make this change here. But then again, Kayum off waivers. We're going to have to stick with it. Patrick Kane has 15 points in 7 games, by the way. So, despite the fact that our record isn't exactly fantastic, the team is still looking pretty good at this point in time. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We are going to make a change. We are going to bump Alex Nylander up, probably to the first line here. We'll put Greer on the third line rather than having him on the top line right wing spot. Seems a little bit excessive. He's not the worst fit on that line, though. 2 points in 3 games, but yeah, easy switch to make there. Not that Nylander's a great fit. He's a good fit on the second line. Not that Point's a better fit there. We might have to do some mixing and matching here, but you know what? Let's keep that +3. And there we go. We'll put Alex Nylander up in that top line. I think that's a big problem, too, is, you know, there's only so many spots where Nylander kind of fits in. Jonathan Taves right now, though, down to an 82. So probably his last season here, at least as a starter. If he doesn't retire, we might bring him back, but it would certainly be in a depth forward role as opposed to being a starter. So Libor Hayek on waivers. How good are you? We have defensemen who are of similar kind of level, and I don't think he'll have that much trade value, so we can go ahead and let him go. We absolutely crush the Leafs and then lose to Buffalo. Start off the next month with a win against Montreal. So the record right now, not exactly fantastic. We are picking up some wins here now, though. Philippe Myers was apparently injured down in Rockford. Of course, that roster also set up pretty well. Now up to 12-5 on the season. ADB should be back, hopefully after this game against Ottawa. Shootout loss, but a pity point helps. And there we go. The pity point helps, and we get DeBrincat back. So Greer, 7 points in 13 games. Not bad. I mean, the penalty minutes are a little bit of a problem, but we expect that physical side. The man fought Dustin Byfuglien, for God's sakes. So I expect a little bit of physical play from him. That's exactly what we got. So taking a look here, Nylander looking pretty good. How about Taves? 11 points, not bad. 8 goals, 10 points for Gabe Metropolit. It's not too bad. He's not exactly thriving thus far. Braden Point, a little bit slow so far. Doc doing well. Eakin doing well. DeBrincat had 12 points in 6 games. So Patrick Kane has 21 goals in 19 games. How's our third pairing doing? They're okay. That's promising. Jones and Boqvist not really working, though, which isn't shocking. They so often don't work out as well as you would have hoped. Let's see. We got to pretty much keep that the same, though. Jones and Boqvist got to get it together, figure it out, be better. That's what happens when you try to combine 4 different sayings. Blackwood's been solid. Korpisalo has barely played. That's a little bit concerning. Auto-rotate goalie, though, should be on, so we'll see if he can improve a little bit. Dylan Strome, it's a little bit roughed up, but he's healthy. And after a bit of a slow start, right now we're looking pretty good. 3 games left. Strome goes down to injury, which absolutely sucks. We're just going to, AJ Greer is going to play center as we continue to win games. And that brings us to December 1st. So 19-5-2. A decent little start through 26 games. Top of the Central Division, which is right where we want to be. 40 points on the year. Where are we in terms of the NHL? We are on top of the league right now. One of 2 teams to have a 70% win percentage or better, averaging 4.5 goals per game. Goals against at a 2.27, which is the lowest in the league. We have the best offense and the best defense thus far. Our power play percentage, best in the league. Our penalty kill, second best in the league. We are crushing it right now, which is exactly what you want to see. 19-5-2. We have to be extremely happy with that. I mean, we have been on a tear for the last month or so. Can Greer even really play center? 70. Obviously, we're going to want to drop him down a little bit. And we will. Metropolitan. Already up to a third line checking forward. Yeah, he's going to benefit extremely well. We're keeping him with Jonathan Toews. Those two are tethered for this season. No doubt about it. That's going to be the team for the moment until we get Strome back. Yeah, that's the right way to go. Defensively, Dylan and Pulock are crushing it. Jones and Boqvist a bit shaky, but Gilbert and Fitzgerald are still looking good. And then goaltending-wise, Blackwood's still looking great. Korpisalo's barely played, which is bizarre. And Dylan Strome over a point a game. He's an assist per game at this rate. So with that, we're going to keep simming. Let's go through December, get to January 1st, see what we're dealing with. Hopefully we're happy and healthy. And again, February 1st is going to be that big kind of deadline, not the actual trade deadline, but kind of the deadline for me to be able to sit here and say, okay, what are we going to do? Is there a need that we need to take care of? Again, like what's the future for Alex Nylander, in this exact situation? So we'll see how it goes. But obviously right now we look at this team and it's like, okay, what do we have to do? The answer appears to be nothing. I mean, you could say backup goaltender, but we have Loader Peters there. We don't really know what Korpisalo is going to be this season as Toews goes down to a minor injury. I actually said minor injury. He's going to be out for a month. So Greer will be in on that third line. You could argue Kayumov would be better, but of course Greer's a little bit more well-rounded as a two-way. Where again, Kayumov is just so offensively based. I'd love to use him, but it's like, okay, where is he going to fit in? We could have 3 skill lines at the top. It's not the worst idea in the world, but right now, with 2 skill lines, a bit more of a defensive line that has offensively capable players, and a physical line, we have a 38-2 record as of January 1st. Patrick Kane is still crushing it, and we are running away with the Central as we have nearly hit the halfway point of our regular season. Absolutely running away with it. 62 points. Only 3 other teams have eclipsed 50. We are the only team that is still over a 70% win percentage. Nobody else has higher than a 66.7 with Pittsburgh. Goals for per game still hanging around at 4.5. Goals against has gone up a little bit, but is still the best in the league. Power play percentage, we score on 1/3 of our opportunities, number 1 in the league. Penalty kill at 85% is still top 5 in the league. So, despite some of these injuries, we are still doing incredibly well. I do want to take a look, though. Now's the time to check with this team and say, like, okay, is someone struggling? Maybe not where we want them to be. And we'll take it from there. Fortunately, that third line right now isn't exactly gelling. But I don't want to break up that +5, obviously. Let's take a look here first and foremost. Patrick Kane, 36 years old. You wouldn't know it. 648 career goals, over 1,500 points. He had 94 points last year. 63 in 40 games so far this year. He is a monster. Dylan Strome, again, almost an assist per game. Missed a little bit of time. Still great numbers. And Alex DeBrincat, still great numbers. Ned Eakin has 35 goals in 40 games. Montreal. Montreal. What did you do? What did you do? What a coup that was to steal him away. Kirby Dach is still crushing it. Braden Point, maybe not where we want him to be, but still doing pretty damn well. Metropolitan, 15 points in 40 games is kind of meh. Has a bit of a penalty-taking issue. 86 discipline, though. It's just the physicality that he plays with. Here's the issue. He's not a great fit for our first line. Much better fit for the second line. Not a great fit with this coach either. AJ Greer has 10 goals, 15 points in 25 games, so not a great fit for that third line, but he's doing really well. And Alex Nylander killing it because of power play time. Fourth line, happy with Quinville, happy with Nosek, and happy with Entwistle. Again, our power play unit, which I didn't show you, is this setup right here. So obviously Jonathan Toews is the center. So it's basically our top 9, and then Dylan, because of course we're trying to get him to develop as our youngest and most promising defenseman. which right now he's doing so well next to Ryan Pulock. And that is the best move, I would say, that Milbury's made. Bringing on Ryan Pulock, we re-sign him, and he has been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Extremely happy with what we've seen from him thus far. Boqvist and Jones on a great run right now. Dennis Gilbert and Casey Fitzgerald doing well. Again, in terms of what we have to do, I'm a little bit worried about Korpisalo, but he's earned the right to at least hang around. And then Jonathan Toews with 17 points. I have no complaints. I don't think there's anything that we have to do. And I certainly don't think I'm going to be getting rid of Alex Nylander right now. What we are going to do is start trying to get some of these contracts sorted out, just in case I do lose control of this team. And at least that way we can be set up. So Korpisalo, I don't know if we're bringing him back yet. Obviously, he's been a little bit rough. We have to sort out this Dylan contract. Of course, he is arguably the most important player. I mean, he is the future of this blue line, the present of this blue line. Now, he only wants a 3-year deal. So 3-year deal. I'd prefer to give him a 2. At least that way he'd still be an RFA. I think ideally we'd lock him up long term to this 8-year deal. But that would be $9 million. 9.1. You could argue he's going to get that anyway. But if we keep our window open for the next 2 years, basically 6.6. For 2 years, he's an RFA at the end of it. Or we try to go up to an extra $3 million to lock him up long term. The risk is that in 2 years, if he is going to ask for even more money, essentially. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go for the 2 years, see if he accepts that. Davies, Myers, Capobianco, none of these guys really matter. Even Dennis Gilbert, he's been solid for us, but obviously, we can find talent like this on the free agent list every year to try and fill out that third pair. Of course, Davies, I think, won the... didn't he win the scoring title last year as a defenseman? He was the top defenseman, 66 points in 76 games. We've been using him down in the AHL, so I'm not worried about any of those contracts there. If it comes up and Mike wants to re-sign one of them, by all means, go ahead. But again, we can sign any of them at any time. Alex DeBrincat, Alex Nylander, have to worry about them, obviously. Patrick Kane we have to worry about. And Dylan Strome, of course, we have to worry about. DeBrincat's the most important, I would say. Ooh. That's expensive. But for Dylan Strome. Double oof. I mean, we have to sign these two. But that is a decent chunk of cap that's going to be going their way. Obviously, we're going to need the 85% option here to really pay off. It'd be $9.7 million for DeBrincat, which is honestly a steal if he's willing to sign that. Dylan Strome. God, what would this knock it down to? $9,075. That would be a tremendous discount for us. So if those two sign those contracts, Dylan as well, it'll really kind of give us the opportunity to think about what are the moves we want to make. But for now, those are the ones that we care the most about. Simaday, Washington, pretty good team on a horrible run right now, though. Dylan re-signs. Spectacular. So we have Dylan locked up for 2 years. He's an RFA at the end of it, as long as that isn't glitched, which I don't believe it is. So we should be fine with him. And again, right now, you look at the big money contracts that we're trying to hand out, probably for the best to save a couple of million here or there with him, and then still be able to lock up our main forwards long term. Strome resigns. DeBrincat does not. He is apparently no longer interested in the contract extension. Is that true? We've seen that before. Wow, it is true. Well, we've seen them be like, no, it's laughable before. I don't know why it's laughable, considering we did the exact same thing with Strome, except this time he gets offended. So Strome resigns. But Alex DeBrincat is threatening to leave. And we had the fear that this might happen. because it was difficult enough to try and lock him up to the contract that he was on before. There was a really good shot that we're going to have to get rid of Alex DeBrincat here or risk losing him for nothing. I don't think I can justify. I mean, if there's a player to pay $11 million per, it's probably DeBrincat. However, that's going to complicate things down the road. That really is, because you factor in, I mean, Kane's going to go, Taves is going to go, so that's some money freed up. But Eakin, in fairness, Ned Eakin's on a spectacular deal. Thank you, Montreal. Kirby Dach in a couple of years is going to want a little bit more money. And then Metropolitan as well. Is it worth giving Alex DeBrincat 11, if not 12 million bucks? Yes, we will potentially have the freedom to trade him if we need to. But is it worth signing him to that crazy of a deal? I don't know the answer to that. And obviously, he's one hell of a player. The other option, of course, is to move on from him now and try to get somebody crazy in return who is on a good contract. Or, we could really just kind of, at least have a bit more of a favorable situation. So the first thing I want to do is check goaltenders to see who the top options are out there right now. Yaroslav Askarov, Ilya Samsonov, who ended up going to Carolina, of course, and is on a pretty good deal. And then Edmonds, who went to the Islanders. He's a 78 at 20 years old. He's playing in the AHL with them. So in terms of a top goalie, how's Askarov doing? Not that I want him. Yeah, no, I don't think it's worth investing in a goaltender. Now, you could argue how Ilya Samsonov would be playing if he was in front of our team. But we do know, he's not doing well. I mean, we could obviously check with Carolina to see what the deal is there, but I don't think it's necessarily worth investing a ton of money into a high-value goalie. I think if we get someone like Blackwood, $4 or $5 million at the most, that can, actually stop a puck from time to time and will hopefully, be good enough to win. I mean, rather than having a goalie needing to steal games, it's like, okay, if this goalie can just do the bare minimum, we should win based off of the team in front of him. I think that's kind of how I want the team to set up. So we look at the defense here, at least the options. We don't really need anybody top four. Again, our top four is pretty much set. You could argue trade DeBrincat. My God, there's a lot of high-value defensemen. You could argue trade DeBrincat for a top-notch defenseman and move out someone like Pulock. But why would we do that? Maybe Boqvist or Jones. And then use them to get a replacement forward. I mean, how much money are we talking about here? 5 years, 10.2. Heiskanen's at a shitload of money. Is there anybody here who would technically still be an RFA? Rasmus Dahlin, but he's already making a ton of money. Jamie Drysdale has developed into a top-notch defenseman, to say the least. Is there anybody else who's close? Bowen Byram. He's not exactly crushing it for them. He's not going to be the extreme offensive defenseman, though, with that offensive awareness. Brant Clark. He's already signed a good deal, but not a crazy deal. Does have the 94 offensive awareness if he continues to develop. We'd have to give up quite a bit. But, use DeBrincat to get Brant Clark. That could be done. And again, Brant would be the best option because of, kind of contract control. So I don't totally hate that idea of using DeBrincat to get someone like Brant Clark. And then forward-wise, who else is available here? So obviously McDavid's top of the heap. Like, do we want to pay DeBrincat McDavid money? I mean, right now he's got better numbers than McDavid. You could argue that he's worth it. I mean, again, that's the decision to make. Right now, I'm just looking at our options. There is the decision as to whether or not DeBrincat is worth that much money. I mean, you look at how much Jake Gensel's getting paid and how good he's become. William Karlsson's continued to improve, which is ridiculous. Alex Turcotte somehow developed into a franchise-level option. See Braden Point there, of course. Pedersen obviously doesn't really help. We'd be looking for a slightly cheaper option. Jack Hughes is there. Of course, Kirby Dach is already ours. Cole Perfetti. But that's kind of a tough call as well. 6-year deal for Eakin. I still can't believe that. My God. Capo Caco's there. 5-year deal for him. Metropolitan, of course, already locked up for us. So, like, Lucas Raymond on Philly would be a target just because we know we'd be able to sign him for less. It's like, would we want to bank on Lucas Raymond or Alex Holtz being the guy to directly replace Alex DeBrincat? Apparently, Holtz doesn't fit in well with the team. Lucas Raymond fits in better as a penalty killer, which is bizarre. Lindbergh hasn't signed that big-time ELC yet. Could talk about him potentially being the replacement. Zeeler. Who's the Zeeler guy? Clint Zeeler. #1 overall pick. Insane shooting category. 34 goals in 43 games. Where's the number 69, by the way, too? So, like, someone like Zeeler could be great. Aturati could be great. Shane Wright. Like, these are the type of players that we'd be looking to pick up right now. And I'd say Zeeler's the best of the bunch. Younger, better, and has the term already with that extra year. So it's like, if we didn't want to pay DeBrincat that much money, we'd be looking at Zeeler offensively or Brandt Clark defensively. Or we pay him $11 million, which is the going rate for sure. It's just now, because he took offense to the 85% trick, unfortunately. We're not going to be able to save any money. If anything, we're going to have to pay him a little bit more. Obviously, I think the option of, like, just win, hopefully, with him, and then if he goes, he goes, like, that's way too dangerous. So the good thing is, we do have draft picks. They're not the most valuable in the world. We only have our first. But we have Krejci that we can use for that extra bit of value. And then again, like I said, if we wanted to improve this top 4, we could. You know, we could use Jones, who's 30, Boqvist, but I like the mix of youth and veteran leadership that we have, and we know this defense is good enough to win a Stanley Cup. So it's like, we can bring in, Clark, but then we're probably going to want to get rid of one of these guys for the sake of saving money. But then also, it's just we're not going to be able to make the most of having, one of these 4 on the third line or third pairing. So really, it does kind of come down to pay DeBrincat. If we don't, do we go after Zeeler? And if we go after Zeeler, cool. If we go after Brandt Clark, then one of these guys has got to go. And to be honest, the answer might be use Seth Jones, who hasn't really fit in perfectly with this team as it is. The answer might be use Seth Jones or Adam Boqvist, but Jones has the better value, along with something else to go out and get Zeeler. Basically, DeBrincat and Jones for Zeeler and Clark, if I could pull that off. Or we just say, no, this defense is good, but DeBrincat's got to go because we can't guarantee he's going to stay. Go out and get Zeeler, his replacement. And then, of course, in the future, we're looking at Eakin, Metropolitan, Zeeler, really kind of leading this way alongside Doc, of course, who's still only 23. So Alex DeBrincat, unsurprisingly, has forced our hand into making a big decision. Maybe I should have seen that coming, but obviously, he has been a beast for us. He is worth the money. It's just knowing what we're gonna have to commit to him, and what problems that's gonna cause down the road. Where obviously the big investment is our top 6, our top 4 the starting goalie, that's going to be a little bit less paid. Third line money, there's going to be a little bit less going there. Really, we're in our Austin Matthews situation here, aren't we? Despite having some highly paid players, it's like, okay, it's kind of time to set that going rate. Is Alex DeBrincat pretty much going to be a Blackhawk for the majority, if not the rest of his career? Or is now the time where we look to make a move? This team is the best team in the league. We are in fine form right now. But obviously the question is, too, how much money are we going to have to pay him? Because with him not wanting to re-sign, he is already looking for $11 million. It could be as high as $12 million bucks. Again, is he worth it? Sure. But obviously right now we've built this forward core on the foundation of pretty good deals for everybody. Patrick Kane's also looking to get paid next year too, because of the season that he's having. So if we want to make sure we can keep Patrick Kane, can we afford to pay DeBrincat that much money? No, we can't. So that's another factor. Patrick Kane doesn't retire, and you want to see him back in a Hawks uniform, DeBrincat's got to go, because we don't have enough money for both of them. Especially two, then we won't have enough money for Nylander, who's looking for 7. And you could argue, use Nylander now. So despite the fact that we're in the driver's seat to potentially retain our title, here's the point in time where we have to make a decision. What do we do with DeBrincat? And whatever we do with him changes what happens with Kane and Alex Nylander. Could potentially change what happens with someone like Seth Jones as well. So, sucks to have been dealt this hand, but because DeBrincat didn't want to play ball, we have to make a choice. So I'm going to leave it there. I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think. Next episode, we make that decision. We sim the rest of the season and see just how good of a team we're going to be by the time the postseason is ready to begin. So for now, I thank you very much for watching, for supporting the channel, for supporting me. It is greatly appreciated. Check out everything in the description if you have not already done so. And of course, a shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. The beginning of a brand new franchise mode series exclusive to that platform for Tier 3 subs has just begun. An expansion franchise with the Houston Apollos. So excited to see how that will go as well. Again, that's uploaded a couple times a week over on patreon.com/Tougie24. I will see you guys next time. Until then, have a good one. Take it easy. Stay safe. I'll catch you later.